Hey, Carol. It's so nice to meet with you. I'm really excited to get to know you and to walk with you on this new journey. Would you like some water or some coffee? Okay. Well, let's get started then. We talked a little bit before about your reasoning for coming here was that you were feeling depressed and you were using alcohol to cope with that. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you're here? Okay, so when you say your family is concerned, can you tell me a little bit more about your family? Two girls. Oh. Oh, two teenage girls. Woo. Okay, and a husband. Okay, go on. hmm So your husband says you've changed. In what ways is he seeing a change in you? So you don't feel like doing anything. You're exhausted. hmm Well, you mentioned alcohol before. Where does that come into play? hmm So drinking is your coping mechanism. I'm sure you feel sometimes that between the kids and your husband, and do you work? Okay, yeah. And between all those things, your feelings just kind of get put on the back burner sometimes, I'm sure. So you drink to manage those feelings. Mm-hmm. It's tough. Yeah. It sounds like a lot of things seem to be out of your control lately, and that can be hard for a lot of people. You're having a hard time managing your feelings. Your family is starting to notice, which I'm sure that adds to your stress. So you're feeling guilty. So, on top of your struggle of not feeling like you're the best mother to your girls, you also don't feel like you're the best at your job either. Yeah, it's hard. hmm But you want to, right? You want to be that person you were before you started having all these feelings, before you were drinking and just barely getting by. Is that right? hmm So what I'm hearing is that there are days when you feel hopeful, like you're gonna get through this, but there are other days when you feel pretty hopeless. hmm So these days where you feel like you can manage, what do those days look like? I'm sure. Right. Well, what I'm wondering, I hear you saying that drinking and sleeping is the best way to deal with things, but maybe that's just the only way you know. Do you think that's accurate? hmm Yeah. I can hear some independence there. Maybe even a little stubbornness. It sounds like maybe you want to make this change all happen all on your own. That's good. That's really good. I mean, it's obvious to me that you're trying. In the beginning, you were discouraged and you were here for your family, maybe kind of as a way to get them off your back, even. But now you're starting to recognize your need for help to manage your feelings and thinking that maybe this hopelessness doesn't have to continue. You don't have to live this way. Mm-hmm. Sure. You're feeling confused, maybe a little lost. It's normal. So on one hand, you want to change and be that person that you were before, but on the other hand, you're fearful of what that change might mean. Of course, it's been a comfort to you this whole time. So now, what what happens if you stop and then there's nothing there to comfort you? What if you spiral further into depression at that point? Mm-hmm. Well, Carol, you've been really open and honest about your feelings. You've been stepping out of your comfort zone and starting to take steps toward that change that you desire so much. And I want to switch gears a little bit and focus on some goal setting, if that's okay with you. Okay. Okay, so my first question for you is, if you woke up tomorrow and your problems were magically resolved, what would that look like to you? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you'd have more energy, you'd spend more time with your family, and you wouldn't even have a desire to drink. Yeah. Yeah. So while we want to see all changes in all areas of your life, you are feeling lethargic from your depression, you're struggling to be the mother, wife, and worker you once were, you're using alcohol to deal with your struggles. That's a lot to take on at once. And there are a lot of areas that we can focus on and work together, but I feel like a great place to start would be with addressing your alcohol use. Because your drinking seems to be one of the biggest issues, and one that we can work on and we'll be able to see tangible results from. Does that seem like a good place to start to you? Okay, great. So to start off, there's a few questions I want to ask you. Do you drink? Did you drink at all prior to these feelings you've been having? Not much. Okay, so how much would you say you drink in a day? And what time of the day do you normally drink? Okay, so what I'm hearing is that you drink a lot when you get home from work. You have about 6 glasses in the evening until you go to bed. Okay. So how do you feel about cutting that in half? Mm-hmm. You feel good? Okay. How likely would you be to follow through with this goal? Honestly. Really think about it. Yeah, it would be a challenge. But goals, that's the thing about goals. Goals are meant to challenge us and to help us reach a point where we feel better about ourselves and the direction our lives are going. And I can tell you're excited, like when you think about it, but it is a little scary too. And I know you have the determination to do this. So you think you can do this? Awesome. Okay. So let's say up to 3 glasses a day at or around dinner time. Does that sound good? Okay. And I want you to keep track of it. Be mindful of your alcohol use, and we will discuss it next week on how well you did. And don't be afraid if you stumble one day. You can try again the next. I want you to be able to talk to me honest and open like you have been, so we can work together toward helping you achieve more goals that will aid you in becoming this person that you really want to be. Okay, yeah. It's like nervous, excited. I get it, yeah. Okay, well, Carol, it's been so good to talk to you, and I'm so excited to speak with you more next week and continue on this journey. And I appreciate how open and honest you've been, knowing how hard that can be. Okay. All right, I'll see you next week.